Look, it's a flood.
It's a flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
Word.
So, I had a light bulb realization about a week and a half ago.
And did you burn the house down?
No. So, anybody who comes up with a bad idea for an app has a B+ script for a Hollywood movie or TV show.
What the fuck are you talking about?
How many times have you watched the new trope of somebody trying to promote a shitty app? If it's not shitty enough, or it's hilarious enough to where you can turn it into a script, like, imagine this guy is
you just want
pitching the app to doing an elevator pitch for this app to a Hollywood writer.
Go ahead.
And the writer goes,
Go
this
ahead.
is fucking insane.
Right.
I could turn this into a comedy.
So you just want more Silicon Valley?
Yeah, basically. No, I'm not saying that I want more Silicon Valley. I'm saying if you have a shitty idea for an app, you can turn it into an episode of Silicon
Valley. Yeah. You just want more Silicon Valley. Just say that.
At worst,
just say that.
You can turn it into an episode of Silicon Valley.
Oh man. How much are you missing that show? Is it the TJ Miller you're missing?
No, it's not that. I was watching I was on like a little bit of like those rated R comedies. No, it was when I was watching
Jennifer Lawrence's new movie.
No, Schwarzenegger's like spy thriller on Netflix. Fubar, the son of Arnold, was making this app called Miles, which is basically like it helps you locate things in the grocery store or something.
Miles,
like that.
the app that Arnold is using.
Yeah, and then Arnold was like, "It's a stupid idea," like the whole time until he had like this big family turnaround moment, and then he was like, "I should invest in my son because I believe in my son."
So did his son come up with Miles? I don't understand.
Is that like an actual app? Of course it's an actual app.
No, I didn't know. What?
Oh, yeah, no. He came up with Miles, which is like...
Okay, alright. Now I get it now. So then he was like, yeah, I should believe in my son more, and...
Or, like in Silicon Valley, where their idea for an app just turned into identifying penises in food. And their whole production team was just spending like 5 hours a day literally looking at dick pics.
Did they show the dick pics?
No, they didn't show the dick pics.
Oh, okay. Have you seen Jennifer Lawrence's new movie, No Hard Feelings?
No, I have not seen Jennifer Lawrence's new movie, No Hard Feelings. I have not.
It's got like currently it's sitting at 68% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. So it doesn't seem to be a bad movie, but it's not doing great in the box office right now. And I came across a CNN opinion piece that thinks that it might be because we're in the middle of a anti-sex backlash. So I came across this CNN article, right? It's an opinion piece about some of the reason why the movie isn't doing so great in the box offices right now. And the article suggests that maybe we're in the middle of an anti-sex backlash, and that a teen sex comedy in this day and age may have been poorly timed, while the climate of anti-sex backlash is rising up and crashing through. And if that felt forced, then it's because
I know what.
you didn't ask for consent. This is Doc.
And this is Ziggy.
And we are the Flood. That's right, your favorite weekly pop culture digest, taking the news happening around us and discussing how it shapes the culture that defines us with our
pop perspective.
That's right. Now it's time to put the culture in context
and make the mainstream make sense.
Because if we don't do what?
Make
Yeah, but I really want to talk about, is there like an anti-sex backlash, and could it potentially ruin sex comedies as we know them, as well as the death of Twitter?
Twitter got real bad. But I do want to say something that might be good, and that is checking out what y'all are bumping on the Spotify Top 100. And this week's hit on the algorithm is Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo.
Ooh, have you heard it?
I have not yet. I will be listening to it on our break because I just had to pull it up right before we started.
Yeah, fair enough. So Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo. That's what's up.
So, because we like to bring this culture in context, I always ask a random person for a number between 10 and 50, and this week I asked your son, Young Dez, and he gave me 16, so I went 16 years back to 2007 to tell you what the number one songs were from today, 16 years ago. And are you ready?
Hit me with it.
Number 5, Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston.
Oh, man, listen. Listen, that shit had a fucking chokehold on the culture. Let me tell you, Sean Kingston is a fucking icon.
Well, number 4 was a brunch classic with Big Girls Don't Cry by Fergie.
Listen, also, Fergie, respect to Fergie, right? She was out here doing her thing. That was around the time I feel like Glamorous and shit came out too. So like, and if you, needless to say, this was recorded around the 4th of July. So if you hear fireworks in the background,
that would be why. Well, number 3...
Happy 4th of July.
Number 3, Makes Me Wonder by Maroon 5.
Oh, man. Just more mall music.
I hate Maroon 5.
Yeah. That first one, right?
Number
this
2...
love has taken its toll. Yeah, that was fire, right? But then after that, everything after that, like I said, it's mall music.
Number 2, that don't kill me, can only make me stronger.
Oh, for real?
I need you
Kanye?
to hurry up now, because I can't wait much longer.
Listen,
Graduation is by far my favorite Kanye album, I'm not even gonna lie.
Hey, listen, apparently we're not the only ones who want the old Kanye back. Kim Kardashian came out this week and admitted that she really misses her husband and wants the old Kanye back just like the rest of us do. But it doesn't look like we'll be getting that.
the old Kanye. The back in old Kanye.
Anytime soon, because Kanye and his new wife have been out here wearing the weirdest
They're
of
already
outfits.
married?
Yeah. And they got like secretly married or whatever. It wasn't much of a secret because it was all in the fucking tabloids, right? But yeah, no, I do know that they've been out here wearing like really weird outfits together, just being seen dressed like composite sketches is the best way I can describe their outfits. They're really like living this modern art lifestyle, and I think people should stay far away from it. Kim, I'd stay far away from it. I mean, damn, I'm not really like, see, it's making me mad because it's not showing me like the crazy shit that they be wearing. Like,
She looks like David Bowie.
she's very androgynous. I don't know. They've been walking around with their faces covered. Kanye's wearing shoulder pads and shit like that. They've like bubble suits. It's fucking weird. Like, I don't know if Kim will ever get that Kanye, the Kanye that we all want back, because he walking around here with Chris Brown hair now, and it's just different.
Let me tell you about something that has been the same with the #1 song today in 2007 was Umbrella by Rihanna. Seeing her at the top of the charts, more of the same.
You know what else has been more of the same? Fucking Morgan Wallen has consistently sat at #1 at the top of the charts for 15 fucking weeks now, dog.
Oh, that might be why our views and listens have gone down.
He has kept 11 albums so far from reaching the #1 spot, including Metallica, Ed Sheeran, Lana Del Rey, a couple of K-pop acts, Young Thug. Like, it's crazy how much the country is feeling Morgan Wallen right now.
I'm trying to think of an act that could drop an album that would supplant like all of those other artists, and I think
I can.
you're gonna say this is cap, but I'm gonna come with evidence after.
Go ahead.
And I would say
go ahead, because I got one.
To be like
I got one to top you. Go
Tool.
ahead. No, pause. Tool.
Yeah. When Tool's
you're
last
close.
album
You're
release
close.
date
You're
was
close.
Announced. Just
Yeah.
announced.
Yeah. Yeah.
The top 18 of the top 50 songs turned into old Tool songs.
I mean, you're close though. You're close though, right? You got the first letter right. But you need to put some respect on it because it's Taylor Swift, the only person who has been able to knock Morgan Wallen out of the #1 spot.
It
has been
Swift.
Taylor Swift, who is currently fucking raking in 13 million, close to what is speculated as.
So we have
$13 million a show.
a show.
My nigga. $13 million a show. You gotta put some motherfucking play the
Here's
cash
our-
register. Future Dan, play the cash register sound. Put some respect on the check.
I gotta say, Taylor Swift's show is so important that they wouldn't reschedule it because the Atlanta Hawks got another playoff game at
Yo.
home. They're like, no, you're dealing with this.
Put some respect on the check.
Taylor Swift's show is more important.
That's my new catchphrase. We're gonna put it on a t-shirt. Put some respect on the check.
Put some respect on the check. I mean, I'm wearing the High 10 shirt right now.
Yo, honestly, it is not a surprise to me. As much as I was hyping it up just now, white America loves its country music, and white America is still the majority.
We have two artists that, if they dropped an album, could potentially supplant this, considering the other artists that, like Lana Del Rey, Ed Sheeran, Metallica. Like, it would have to be somebody that would be more important. And, I mean, like I said, Tool, at that point, was even the exception, because it's been, like, 16 years before that they dropped an album. Beyonce?
Oh, totally, dog.
Yeah, I mean, a Beyonce album would do that.
A Beyonce album would do crazy numbers right now.
A Beyonce album, I think, would knock out, actually, probably anything.
I'm dumb as fuck.
This is gonna sound really stupid in the moment while we are recording, but future Dan, current Dan really does appreciate you. And the thing is, this is gonna sound even weirder in the moment,
You're crazy.
but I love hearing that when I'm editing.
You know how wild you sound right now.
I love getting appreciation for myself from myself.
Oh my god. Well, there's a lot of new albums getting ready to come out. There's reportedly some future Drake, some new Travis
Would Drake
Scott
be able to knock
that's
off
getting
this
ready to listen. Ooh.
Drake just drops random shit, and sometimes it's mid.
Like those last couple of
Never
joints.
mind.
But I mean, it is Drake though who currently has the #1 spot for most #1 hip hop singles, right? At
Didn't you
like
say
68.
singles overall, and he actually passed the Beatles.
Yeah, it's like 68. at the number one spot. So, you know,
In hip hop or overall?
There might be
I would
overall.
say hip hop because overall, that's a lot. The Beatles, like, they dominated like Drake,
Yeah.
dominated an entire decade.
Yeah, and I mean, is Morgan Wallen the Drake of country music? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying Morgan Wallace is the Drake of country.
Morgan Wallen, put some respect on the check.
Wallen.
Put some respect on the check. He has spent 15 weeks at number one. Put some respect on the check, son. Listen, maybe he is though, is what I'm saying, because that's crazy.
That is nuts.
That's crazy, dude. What other country star do you think could do numbers like that? Billy Ray Cyrus? I don't know country music like that.
Back in the day, Dixie Chicks, maybe?
I know recently that they were like hot for Luke Combs and all that.
Shania Twain. Sheryl Crow?
Maybe. I don't know. Country listeners, if we got listeners.
Taylor Swift?
Listen, if we've got country listeners, y'all let us know. Who else? Are you feeling Morgan Wallen? Like, is there a reason why he's spending 15 weeks at number one? Or do you think it's overrated? Is he the Drake of country music? Who do you think would be the country music successor to knock him off? Like, is a new Luke Combs album going to do it for you? Let us know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Country music is probably my least favorite genre. Like, the most country I will get is like.
I like music, so
band.
I like music. So if it's worth listening to, I'll listen to it. I just need to know if it's worth listening to. So y'all let us know. Is it something we should give a try, or is it like, something to pass up? And speaking of pass up, I think it's about time we take a break, and then we'll come back at y'all with more hot gas.
Break. But seriously, Future Dan, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Future Dan. And welcome back. While we're on music, let's talk about the 2023 BET Awards.
Now owned by Tyler Perry.
So, not yet. The deal has not finalized yet, but it is the most likely deal that is going to go through. From what I saw on the shit show that is Twitter, which we will get to later. It what a
looks
shit
like
show.
a Tyler Perry production.
Yeah, no, at this point. I mean, honestly, already, without him being the owner, BET Plus is like all Tyler Perry shit. But I can tell you that this BET award was all Busta Rhymes in the fact that they honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award this year, right? Well deserved. Pay the man his flowers while he's out there.
We don't need to give a championship ring because he literally just got one.
Lotto won Best Female Artist, Hip Hop Artist of the Year. Coco Jones scored Best New Hip Hop Artist. There were performances from Lil Uzi Vert as well as JT, who was caught on Natalie Nunn's phone throwing her phone at Lil Uzi Vert during some of the performances during the show, as well as a whole bunch of other feature artists. This year's Album of the Year went to Beyonce, and it was a tie with SZA's SOS, actually, which is the first time I think that's ever happened in BET history. So that's crazy. I mean, both albums were absolute fire. SZA's SOS had a fucking
multiple
chokehold
songs that were
on the chart.
Top charts.
Beyonce's Renaissance is also just a banger from like beginning to end. SZA also took home Best Female R&B and Pop Artist. Chris Brown was the winner of the Best R&B/Pop Artist Award. Best Group went to Drake and 21 Savage, because I guess one album together counts as a group. That's a little wild to me, considering City Girls, DVSN, or Division. I always say DVSN though. Division, and fucking Quavo and Takeoff, and were on that contender list as well. Best female hip hop artist, as I said, went to Lotto. Best male hip hop artist went to Kendrick Lamar. And you know, that list was also stacked with a couple of other heavy hitters like Drake, Future, 21 Savage, J. Cole, Jack Harlow, and Lil Baby. Right, some of the other female hip hop artists.
2022?
2023.
Or 2023, yeah.
So the 2022 run into 2023.
So yeah, J. Cole's album that came out last year.
Yeah, you know, some of the other female artists that were nominated for Best Hip Hop Artist were Coi Leray, whose album just dropped and did 10K in its first week. So, you know, some people say those numbers are decent. Other people think that it should have, other people, meaning Boozy, think that it should have done better.
By the way, if you want to get a feature for Boozy.
Cardi B was also nominated. Ice Spice was nominated as well. Meg Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj were also nominated. Video of the year went to SZA for her Kill Bill video. Tomorrow 2 with Cardi B was also with Cardi B and Glorilla was also nominated.
That's such a great name.
Glorilla.
Yeah.
I fucks with Glorilla. Her whole vibe is fire. Her album was fire. It's just but other videos that were nominated were Warm Embrace from Chris Brown, 2 Million Up from PZ Jeezy, Real Boston Richie, and Rob 49. About Damn Time with Lizzo and Bad Habit from Steve Lacy. But I mean, other than that,
But you might be better.
the big thing to come out of the BET Hip Hop Awards this year was, as I mentioned earlier, JT throwing her phone at Lil Uzi Vert.
Also, Offset and Quavo
reuniting for that Takeoff tribute, right? And that is more important than a phone getting thrown in the audience during a couple's dispute. But
it's also more important than a
The
game of dice.
the performance was fire. I did, happen to catch that
How
and
did
to
they
play
handle
back.
Takeoff's part?
I mean, I think the whole thing went seamlessly. It was in
Who
true
sang
Migos
Takeoff's
fashion.
part, or did they have the recording?
It was obviously the recording, right?
I mean, they had like hologram Tupac.
No, BET is Tyler Perry is not gonna spring for that. Tyler Perry is not gonna spring for
Coachella only has to do it once a year.
But speaking of reprising parts, this is a terrible transition. Speaking of reprising their parts, R.I.P. Takeoff. Futurama's back, or will be back July 24th. But so is John DiMaggio, reprising his role as Bender. You know, if you are a pastime listener, previous listener, pastime listener, continuous listener,
Loyal listener.
This is your second reminder to like and subscribe.
At the Flood Pod on everything.
Because we previously covered that there was a little dispute going on with the Futurama staff and John DiMaggio, citing, pay disputes. He felt like the rest of the cast was getting paid more than him, and after extensive negotiations, a deal was finally made, and he will be reprising his role as Bender. And a little side note that I thought was pretty awesome, they were even able to get Coolio to record some dialogue as Kwanzaa before he passed away, so there will be Coolio in this new Futurama.
I also want to say John DiMaggio is not to be confused with Joe DiMaggio, the 1950 New York Yankees center fielder. John DiMaggio is the successor to Kevin Conroy as Batman, as he has already made appearances in the DC animated universe.
Okay,
as Batman.
That's what's up.
I believe in Young Justice, Batman is voiced by John DiMaggio.
Look, if I was also Batman, I would be like, nah, pay me. Put some respect on the fucking check. How many times I gotta say it this episode? Right? That's why I listen. So the 11th season of Futurama is slated for 10 20-minute episodes to be featured on Hulu, and they will, as I have said about 3 times now, air July 24th, and I cannot wait because, quite frankly, as far as Matt Groening projects go, Futurama is probably my overall favorite. I mean, obviously I will have a soft spot in my heart for The Simpsons always, right? You know, even over top of Family Guy, right?
Treehouse of Horrors is still fire every year.
I will take the first 20 seasons of The Simpsons over any season of Family Guy ever. Absolutely. And yes, Treehouse of Horror is OP.
Always good.
I will always remember
Death Note this last year.
Wow. I will always remember, like, you know, being like in anticipation for those growing up, right? The Treehouse of Horror episodes. Or how do you feel about seasonal episodes of a TV show or a cartoon?
Like a Thanksgiving episode
or Christmas episodes and stuff like that. Like,
it's weird when you're binging a series.
Right, so that's why I bring it up, right? So as we're moving away from, like, serialized TV and into, you know, the world of, like, streaming, do Christmas episodes have the same, like, gravitas as they used to?
I have an idea that literally just popped into my head. Every series produces these seasonal episodes, but the streaming service reserves them to drop that episode for the holiday.
I mean, that's kind of what they do now, right? Like, you know, Netflix always has, like, their holiday specials that they will drop of certain things.
I still have no idea why none of the
But does it have the same... It doesn't have the same impact to me. Like, that I guess that holiday drop doesn't feel the same as watching a show for an entire year and then, like, it carrying the same weight of the seasons that you're going through.
This just makes me go back to the idea of... And I don't know why any streaming service hasn't done this, but you make your own fucking channel.
But
you add a bunch of shows.
But do you feel me? Do you remember when your TV shows, your cartoons used to go on spring break and summer vacation the same time you did?
Yeah.
Right? Like the Christmas happened the same time for the Fresh Prince, the same time it happened for you, right? Like there was a certain like effect to that
Yeah.
I feel like we don't get with streaming.
I feel like the shows that have the clout to do the weekly episodes, you know, now like your Stranger Things, your Secret Wars.
Can you imagine the Christmas episode of The Last of Us?
They go into a fucking mall during Christmas and then they get attacked by a bunch of zombie Santas and elves.
Oh my god, dude. Listen. That episode would be fire, though.
That episode would be amazing.
And everybody would
like
love it.
That's the only way they could do it, is if they did it as, like, this series is going to be running during this time, so this episode can drop during this time period.
That's exactly it, right? That's what you get now.
See, I've watched the first episode of Secret Wars.
I haven't watched Secret Wars yet, but have you watched any of The Idol, though?
I have not. So we'll teach each other. We'll teach each other.
I have not watched any of The Idol on HBO. I have watched clips of it on TikTok, though, because apparently it's cringe as fuck.
This is the weekend show you were telling me about with the guy from Euphoria.
Yes, so this is the show, for those who don't know, that was produced and created by the guy behind Euphoria and The Weeknd, also known as Abel. And this show must have been written during the writer's strike because the dialogue is awful, my nigga. It's so bad. It's so bad that the show has been, at this point, hailed by multiple sources as having the worst sex scene in TV history. And I saw some of the clips through TikTok, at which, to the show's credit, I have only seen out of context clips from this show.
But that is the internet nowadays.
But from the clips that I have seen, none of it looks acceptable in any shape or form. I said this about Euphoria when it was out and when it was popular, that it was trauma porn, right? The entire show was extremely hard to watch because most of the characters were like hardly likable at all, and all of them, when they were having redeeming moments, had them snatched from underneath of them, like at the last second. Like, it's just trauma porn from beginning to end. And this show is literally that to, like, turned up to 1,000, right? Like, it is just, it is almost like 50 Shades of Grey, but worse, right? If you took 50 Shades of Grey and you did like the Harvey Weinstein thing, but with a like mega pop star who was like predatory towards up and coming talent.
That sounds like The Weeknd.
I don't think it's fair to do to Abel. I mean, I don't know the man personally. I do know that a lot of people
He may be able, but did they consent?
I know a lot of people were saying that this show is ruining what little respect they had for The Weeknd, right? And I don't necessarily blame him, although I do think that maybe Abel should stay away from acting. That feels a little harsh, right? Maybe Abel should hire an acting coach, because when paired with terrible dialogue, it is all just unfucking bearable, my guy. I promise you, if you really want some like cringe humor, just hop on TikTok and search idol scenes. It's a time. It's time, I promise.
Well, if we're talking about something that is a time on social media, let me tell you, Damian Lillard has finally requested a trade request from the Portland Trailblazers and reportedly only wants to go to the Miami Heat.
Only?
Yeah, there was one he's been doing live videos like every night. I get notifications on him, and one night he was, on a live, and he had some Miami playing in the background.
Do you think he's got the clout to pull that kind of maneuver?
According to Shams Charania, he's certainly trying.
Trying, but do you think he will be successful, though?
This is the big thing where people are like, should the front office of Portland do right by Dame, considering he's trying, and they just drafted Scoot Henderson with the third overall pick, who people are saying is going to be a fantastic multi-time all-star caliber player.
So they're saying it's okay to get rid of Dame then?
Yeah, but the question is do they want to do right by him because he was so loyal to the franchise, or do they just want to max out on possible returns and send Dame to Utah? I'm not saying that Utah tries to always have the best white player in the league. I'm just saying they usually have one of the best white players in the league.
So what do you think that means for Lillard, though?
I think his hip-hop streams will go down in Utah.
Wow. I don't know, man. I mean, listen.
Do you think Damian Lillard can surpass Utah listens to Morgan Wallen?
Do you think there is a place for Damian Lillard in Miami, though?
Question is, Miami doesn't really have much to trade. Like, they have Tyler Hero and some stuff.
And some stuff.
Like, that's basically, like, you listen to all of the sports stuff, like, content out there, and it's basically like, we have Tyler Hero and some stuff. Where Utah could be like,
I mean,
we have, like, five
you're talking about
one of,
I was gonna, well, you're talking about, but Miami is, you know, a team that made it to the finals.
Yeah.
So, like,
if I, as a Celtics fan, I'd be shitting my pants if Damian Lillard went to the Heat. Because then that would make Jimmy Butler only have to play second fiddle. He wouldn't settle for Robin.
yeah. Does that make Damian Lillard Batman?
This would make, like, Damian Lillard Batman and Jimmy Butler Superman. Because we all know Superman is second fiddle to Batman.
So does that mean Damian Lillard is the Ben Affleck of the NBA?
What the fuck? What the fuck? No! No!
It was just a Batman comparison, and then I was gonna call Jimmy Butler Matt Damon, but...
Jimmy Butler would be offended if you called him that. Actually, I don't know if he'd be, because he is really good friends with Mark Wahlberg.
So,
ooh, no, that's actually a thing. Like, Jimmy Butler and Mark Wahlberg are, like, legit, like, super close friends.
that's pretty funny. So, but what I'm saying is, if Damian Lillard is the Batman of that team, is he Ben Affleck Batman, or is he more of a Christopher Nolan?
Robert Pattinson?
No.
Michael Keaton?
Fuck. Why are you naming everybody but... Jesus
Kevin
Christ.
Conroy, George Clooney, Val Kilmer.
Everybody but Christian Bale. You named
You are saying
everybody...
Christian Bale?
No, I said Christopher Nolan.
Oh.
My point is, though, is if Damian Lillard is Batman, is he a Ben Affleck Batman, or is he a Christian Bale Batman, or is he more of a Michael Keaton Batman?
I would say he is, at this point,
A tangent going way
Dark
too far.
Knight Rises Batman.
That's Christian Bale. You could have just said Christian Bale.
Specifically Dark Knight Rises Batman.
Okay.
Because
So
he's
then-
grizzled
so
vet,
then-
he's been through some shit. He's like, alright, I'm done fucking around. I'm gonna take care of this shit. Miami's this close. They're one Damian Lillard away.
So then Jimmy Butler is Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I feel like Joseph Gordon-Levitt would be okay with that.
Because I know we were all waiting for, you know, the reveal for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be Robin in that movie. And if Damian Lillard is Batman, I'm just trying to make this analogy work, okay, man?
You're just like really forcing the DC.
You're the one who
CU.
put the Batman analogy
It's 'cause
into
it's
play.
a commonplace analogy.
So, do you think it's more likely that Damian Lillard will stay with Portland, end up in Utah, or get his way and fly out to Miami?
If I am the general manager of the Portland Trailblazers and I am trying to maximize the value of my assets, I am not trading Damian Lillard right now.
So you think they will?
Wait until the trade deadline when people need Damian Lillard more than ever.
How do you think that's gonna make Dame feel, though?
Fucking angry! Unless it ends up being Miami.
You know who else is fucking angry right now? Millions of fucking Twitter users. That's right. You knew we had to talk about it.
Most Twitter users.
Most Twitter users. Trillions. It's like, no, it's not trillions. But
There's not a trillion people on the planet.
that's why I said it's not a trillion. Anyway,
Unless we actually do have contact with aliens. Or if you count for bots.
Elon sure is. And at this point, in the name of preventing data scraping, Elon has decided that he is, quote unquote, temporarily capping how many tweets you can read, with unverified users capping in at 600 tweets per day and verified users limited to reading about 6,000 posts per day. And if you're a new unverified user, the post limit is even lower at 300 posts per day. Now, a lot of people, including your boys,
Yeah.
are calling this the beginning of the end.
Of Twitter.
Because
It's become increasingly less and less useful. I've just outright muted Elon on both my account and the Flood account.
it feels like the way Elon is running Twitter at this point it feels like the way Trump was running his presidency, which is straight into the ground. About a couple of hours after the initial tweet, Elon then tweeted that rate limits would soon be increasing to 8,800 per, perspective.
Oh, woo! I get to read another 50 responses to 3-star Letterman's fucking hilarious retweet.
It seems that Elon is scrambling for ways to justify his ownership of Twitter, and all of this, like I said, comes under the guise of combating data scraping and data mining from
did you
Twitter.
Hear, by the way, that he's trying to back out of the Zuckerberg fight because of his mom saying.
Oh yeah, his mom tweeted. I wonder what his mom's post limit is, because she tweeted that she wasn't going to allow her baby boy to fight, and less than an hour after Elon tweeted that rate limits would be increased to 8,800, he then tweeted again that he would increase limits totally to 10,000 per verified user, and then 1,000 for unverified and 500 for new users, right? So I keep bringing up the number because it is very clear that this man does not know what he is doing with this website at all. And it is absolutely astounding to me at this point that he was even able to run PayPal or Tesla, right? Because he is absolutely shitting the fucking bed with Twitter, dog. It is mind-boggling.
Okay, if you bought Twitter at the point Elon bought Twitter, what would you have done?
Left it the fuck alone.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I would have done.
Left it alone.
I'd be like, this is way too much chaos. It's in a delicate balance.
It's not even just that, dude. Like, he literally came in and cleared house because a bunch of Reddit incels told him to, and I know that's major oversimplification of what is going on with the whole Elon fandom thing, but he's a clout chaser, dog, and he's like almost as big of a clout chaser as Trump is, right?
Trump's literally out here sharing top secret documents just to be like, look, I have these.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that too, right? Because at this point, I feel like if Elon had him and Twitter begged him to, he would share top secret documents too, right? Like, if they came out and was like, yo, show us the new schematics for the new batteries for Tesla, right? Like, he would do it. He would do it just because he thinks it would give him cool points. Just like Trump is at fucking dinner parties or whatever, wherever that weird fucking audio came from. Like, oh my, how many times is this nigga gonna get caught on hot mic?
He knew he was being recorded. That's not even a hot mic.
Dog.
He knew he was being recorded.
It's fucking bananas, yo. Like, literally, he was like, these documents are classified. I could have unclassified them, but I can't now because I'm not president. Like,
He said that to a reporter.
And it's what's even crazier is his fucking supporters are just like, it's all psyops. Right? That's the excuse now. Is this all psyops?
Look,
right? It's Democrat propaganda.
So I have spent the last week. The thing I've been diving into recently is watching video games that I haven't played cutscenes as movies.
Oh, I
because
can't
I've always been interested in
wait to see how you're gonna tie this in. Go ahead. Go off, King.
And I was watching Metal Gear Solid recently, right? Metal Gear Solid 2 has some crazy psyop shit going on.
Okay.
Like,
okay, I see you. Spin that.
Like a
Spin
giant
that.
oligarchy secretly controlling the American government, and like one president decided to rebel, and then he turns into Solid Snake and all of that shit.
Right.
Well, Metal Gear Solid 2 has more believable psyops type shit than Trump is trying to pull off.
Yo, I'm telling you, son, it's because before the Trump presidency, I had fallen into the conspiracy theory whirlpool just like everybody else did, right? Not everybody else, but a lot of people did, right? But when Trump got elected president, it really, like, I don't know, put like a shock to my system, because I was like, how the fuck? But this is literally like the guy that we've been warned about in all of like the Hallmark movies and all of the like old 80s movies. When you look at the, you know, the mega corporate dude who's trying to buy up the local establishment to build a strip mall or buy up the oldest home in the neighborhood so they can build a highway or some shit like that. Like, it's always like a Trump looking ass guy, right? Like, he literally is the face, like, of American gaudiness, right? Like the name in gold across the front of your building, the gold toilets and stuff like that. Like,
Opulence.
yeah,
That's the word.
not even, I wanted to say opulence, right? But it's not. Like, it's gaudy. Like, all of it is like what everybody imagines a mobster's lifestyle looks like, and that's what Trump thinks he is. And you could tell from this fucking audio, he thinks he's a fucking mobster, right? Like, he really thinks he's that guy. He really thinks he's that guy, and so do millions of Americans, and it's crazy. And I just wonder if how many of them, and I just wonder how many of them listen to Morgan Wallen.
You know what's shitty?
That I would assume that all Morgan Wallen supporters are also Trump supporters.
Respect the check!
What is shitty? What else is shitty?
What's shitty is people are like, oh, he's such a shitty con man. Well, I mean, he literally conned his way to the presidency. So, I mean...
He didn't con his way to the presidency. He was a lame duck. And I keep saying that, and we're not going to get into all of that right now. You can go back and listen to previous episodes if you want to hear me elaborate on how Trump is a lame duck. But...
An incontinent duck.
An incontinent duck.
Found his confidence through fascism.
But this just proves it even more, dog. And now with them getting ready to raid his, like, New Jersey golf club or whatever the fuck it is, it's just that on top of the Georgia election tampering shit.
And the January 6th thing.
I would, honestly, I would be really surprised if he isn't the first president to go to jail, dog. And, you know, just adding to his list of firsts,
Like,
more
it's
great
the shotgun approach.
more bigly things.
Something is gonna hit.
It seems like it, because, like, it would be egregious. And there's a lot of egregious things happening right now, right? Like, you know, the Supreme Court is pulling all kinds of crazy maneuvers. You know, Amazon and all of these companies are out here raking in profits after COVID, right? And it just feels like...
None of this is normal, bye guys!
No, all of this is business as usual. What did Young Thug say? Business is business. I just feel like at this point it really does feel like business is war, though, and I don't see how Trump is going to recover from this.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about business being business, let's talk about ESPN and them laying off so many on-air personalities.
Man, layoffs is happening all over the place, ain't they?
So, ESPN has recently laid off Max Kellerman, Stan Van Gundy,
Damn.
Jalen Rose,
Damn.
Susie Colbert, among others.
It seems like Disney really trying to trim the fat, though, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, they did just pay a giant bag to Pat McAfee.
And they're also trimming the fat in all kinds of other places, too.
And they're probably going to throw a giant bag at who? Shannon Sharp.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Is it worth getting rid of Max Kellerman, though?
Well, I mean, they also got rid of Keyshawn Johnson, and they had Jay Will, Keyshawn, and Max as a morning radio show that I swear existed just because they all had contracts they had to fulfill.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. You know what would make all of this worth it in my mind? And there's a lot of, our sports listeners who will probably push back hard with what I'm about to say. And I totally understand that and I respect it because honestly, I don't really fuck with sports like that. I mean, I watch them, but I don't watch ESPN and stuff like that. And
he gets a lot of his sports updates from me.
But I know who Max Kellerman is, and I know who Jalen Rose is, and I watch their shows, and I do respect their craft and the things that they bring to sports media.
Seeing the results.
But what would make all of this worth it to me is if ESPN brought on It Is What It Is. Cameron and Mace, front and center.
They are hilarious. They are fucking hilarious.
Taking on late night sports talk, bringing pause to America.
Now, I will say, now seeing that they let Jalen go, I suppose I should have seen the writing on the wall when J&J got ended.
And it all puts it into perspective, right? When you see shit like that happen, you're like, what's going on?
Now, you know where David Jacoby went after?
Where?
The Ringer, owned by Bill Simmons. Do you know who greenlit J&J?
Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons.
So you think maybe we might just get a reboot?
Under a different name. It would have to be under a different name.
Do you think it's got to be under a different name?
Yeah, because when JJ Redick left The Ringer, he couldn't take the name The JJ Redick Podcast.
Oh.
There's also other podcasting Bill Simmons news, by the way. Apparently, Meghan Markle was supposed to do a podcast series in which she only did 12 episodes and got paid $20 million, to which Bill Simmons called them, quote, fucking grifters.
Listen, I'm going...
He is a board member on their, podcast, chair board.
I'm gonna push back here, because once again, I mean, okay, not to say that Meghan doesn't have an interesting story to tell, being a part of this royal lifestyle,
but
right?
Her and Harry, as much as I was like, they're fucking cool, they are fucking cool, but they are also going on quite the press tour to say that they want to be left alone.
Listen, and on top of that, I'm like, what else what does she have to say? The Queen was mean. Alright, I get it. They're racist. Who the fuck didn't think they were going to be racist? Are you kidding me, Meghan? Get the fuck out of here. 12 million's about right. And that's honestly probably more.
No, 20 million.
12 episodes. 20 million? Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
$20 million is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money for somebody who's married to a fucking prince.
He's our prince now.
She don't have to want for nothing anymore. 20 million's fine.
Well, I mean, I guess
most of us would be fine with 20 million. If you hit 20 million today, do you know what you would do?
It doesn't surprise me.
You would blow half of it on magic cards by the end of the week.
And that would be a good investment.
No, it wouldn't. Not before you got a fucking apartment. Dude, so many people
Yo,
can't...
I would put fucking money into marketing for this podcast for starters.
So many people can't even handle that amount of money, is my point. Like, so many people would get that amount of money and lose their fucking minds, right? But Bill Simmons is like, oh, we should pay Meghan Markle some more.
She's married to a prince.
That's my whole point.
He's like a guy from Boston, so I can get him feeling that way.
I'm just a guy from Boston.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what he is. But he is a guy from Boston that gets, like, absolutely shit on because, you know, he's now living in LA. Like, he owns a media company. Well,
I mean, listen.
He sold to Spotify. He's now, like, a chair member or a board member for Spotify.
Goals. I call it goals, honestly.
I mean,
while we're talking about sports, I think
we're not shitting on you, Bill. Like, I'm still a big fan of your podcast. I love you, Rosillo.
I mean, I was shitting on you a little bit because it's crazy that you would be like 20 million is not enough money, but like
he does kind of have Van Lathan at times as the token black guy. I mean, there are other black guys on the Ringer, but it's like anytime they need to go on the Rosillo podcast or the Bill Simmons podcast, it's always Van Lathan.
And I guess when you're making that much money, you see 20 million and you're like, oh, that's chump change. Like, yeah, but what is
more money than she was making for Suits?
What is cool while we're talking about sports, and then we'll go on a quick break, the NBA is finally allowing contracted players to smoke weed, and this will now be going into effect as of this recording. Players contracted to play with any NBA team will be allowed to partake in recreational and medical marijuana and CBD products. I will tell you the two people who are
either the happiest or the most pissed about this. And that is Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Stephen A. Smith.
Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. Because of their podcast, All the Smoke. And Steven Jackson on multiple times is like, yeah, I played NBA games high all the time.
Yeah, well, under this new contract, cannabis will be removed from the NBA's list of banned substances. The agreement also ends any marijuana screenings for players, giving them the opportunity to smoke weed and use other cannabis products without fear of reprisal. Right, and this is on the piggybacking.
James Harden looks slow.
He's
not getting his shot off as quickly as he used to.
This is on the piggybacking of other sports associations also removing marijuana from their banned substance list, including the NHL as well as the NFL. Right, is loosening their restrictions on marijuana. So it seems like
that might, as much as that is like for the medical benefits, the NFL needs the public image.
The NBA is also allowing players to invest in the cannabis industry, allowing players to be permitted to invest in CBD companies and
which makes sense considering Al Jefferson has actually, since he retired, developed a very successful marijuana industry, and like I said last week, JJ Redick, one of the biggest sports basketball commentators on TV right now, his podcast is sponsored by a CBD company.
The MLB has also continued to evolve their policies over the years, announcing that it would allow their teams to be permitted to enter in sponsorships and deals with cannabis companies.
The Major League Baseball player union is the strongest in sports. That is the only major professional league that has no salary cap.
The Colorado-based Charlotte's Web Holdings has been named the official CBD company of the MLB. So, even the MLB is getting in on the marijuana game.
Well, the MLB has been doing really in the past year, has been doing a big push for image refurbishing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's about time for baseball, right? Because it was
rule
kind of
changes-
becoming a relic,
Yeah,
right?
the rule changes have shortened the average Major League Baseball game by 30 minutes.
Which is fair because, like,
A 7 o'clock game now ends at 10:30. You
Right.
can expect it to end at 10:30
Right.
instead of 11, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
I was going to Orioles. My dad and I had a 13-game season ticket plan for the Orioles. So we would go to 13 games a year at least, because there were sometimes we would buy extra tickets. Games would, like, we would get out of there after 11, and I'd have, like, school, or not school because it would be summer, but, like, I'd have something I have to do the next day.
Right.
Or he has something he has to do the next day. And
yeah. And it's crazy to get out of a fucking baseball game that late when you went in, like, mid-afternoon, right? Or in the evening, right?
Like getting to Camden Yards at 6 and leaving at 11:30, that's a long time.
Baseball, I always...
Like basketball games, 2 hours, in and out.
I love the joke that baseball is the only sport that you can fall asleep during and wake up and still catch the end of the game, right? Like,
There are many people caught on camera at games like that.
yeah, you know, and I mean, obviously, its predecessor, cricket, can go on for like weeks, right?
Baseball, there's one of the beautiful aspects of baseball, and it is something that people will complain about, but I will say that it is one of the most beautiful aspects of the game of baseball, is theoretically, the game can never end.
Oh, I mean, if the teams are like that good.
No, consistently tie in extra innings.
Yeah, I mean that.
The
Yeah,
game
if the teams are that
never
good.
ends.
Yeah.
And there's something beautiful and pure about that.
If you love that, then you would love cricket, because that's exactly what happens with cricket.
There is a fun sports question I ask people, and I don't expect you to know the answer to this, but what is the most compelling and simultaneously boring sporting event that you can watch?
Golf.
A double perfect game in baseball.
Oh,
A perfect game is 27 players come to.
I'm sorry, because I confidently answered that question, because golf is all like, I've played golf before.
I haven't.
I've played golf before, and when you are watching golf, you're like, I can do that, right? And you see these guys hit these clean shots, like fucking yards, almost what feels like miles across the green, right? And just like nail it onto that perfect lawn, right?
Yup.
And then come in with the putt and then clean that shit up, right? And you're like, I can do that. And then you get out there. And even if you go to a driving range,
I've gone
right?
to a driving range one time. I will tell you about my experience after you are done.
Yo, and you're like, no, I went golfing and I made the mistake of drinking heavily my first time going golfing, which is what you're supposed to do.
Did you have a golf cart?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
that
did.
is what you're supposed
Yes,
to do.
it is what you're supposed to do, and apparently you get to pee wherever you want on the golf course.
As long as you're a man.
You're not really supposed to pee wherever you want. It's bad.
It's a lot quicker as a man.
But yeah, no, it's not easy, right? It's easier to be bad at golf than most people think it is. I will say that.
The one time I went to a driving range, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I've heard a golf swing is basically a vertical baseball swing. Because I've been told a baseball swing is like a horizontal golf swing. I'm like, all right, okay,
Right.
It's got to be the other way around. And every single time I took a swing at that ball, it would like jump, hit like 10 feet in front of me, and then hook to the left. Every single time. And I'm like, you know, that kind of makes sense. I am a ground ball pull hitter, so I am going to hit it into the ground to the left side.
And with that being said, I am also trash at baseball. So, I think that these advancements, though, in the leagues are awesome, right? Because
I'm actually happy with the changes in baseball, especially since the Orioles are actually really fucking good this year.
And whereas I don't believe that marijuana is some catch-all miracle drug, right? That's going to cure every ailment and fix everybody's worries. I do think that it is cool that the leagues have relaxed some of their restrictions, right? Because the drug essentially is harmless. And I think that as more professional corporate companies relax their restrictions on marijuana, I think that, this corporatocracy that we live in will probably follow suit.
I mean, our state now has it legalized.
Yes, as of July 1st, Maryland is a recreational legal state. Right, and people will be able to purchase in dispensaries.
If you are 21 or older,
and as long as you don't work for a corporation that forbids it, right? I know people who work for government associations still can't participate in recreational use. I know people who work for a certain county and city positions still cannot participate in it, and I don't see the reasoning behind it, right? When alcohol is still legal, you can take prescription drugs that will, as they state on the bottle, make you drowsy and incoherent, and that's perfectly fine. They're not. I've never had I never get a kick out of pain pills, right? I personally, I guess, fall into the crowd of I don't feel the effect most of the time, right? I've taken a Percocet once, and that had an effect.
There was.
Right, but most of the time, it hasn't really been a thing for me that makes me want to go back to it. But
I think I had hydrocodone when I had my wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah,
and
it's a very common.
So this is what I remember. My friend JJ came over to hang out, and we talked in the driveway. And I could have sworn that there was a third person there. And JJ was like, no, it was literally just me and you. To where my mind was my ethereal spirit left my body, and it was watching JJ and I talk. And
you're tripping.
Three fucking
you're
people
tripping.
There.
Off the hydrocodone, though?
I was tripping. That's the point.
Off the hydrocodone, though, I would be very interested to see what you're like off the shrooms thing, because that's crazy. Because like I said,
well, I mean, have I told you about the time I was given shrooms and Xanax in the same night?
We don't need to say anything else.
That is...
My mom needed the Xanax.
Power potential of music.
Is it because you were wilding off the shrooms?
No, it's because I was wilding because my brother punched me in the face.
Did your brother punch you in the face because you were wilding off the shrooms?
No, he punched me in the face because my friend and I were trying to watch the visualizer on the PS2 while we listened to Pink Floyd's Wall.
While y'all were wilding off the shrooms?
No, while we were very content and chill on shrooms.
It was like I did not deserve to get punched in the face. Just like
I
y'all
was
don't.
Look, can we watch the visualizer in the garage? No. Okay, can we watch it in the basement? No. So we went back to the garage and we watched the visualizer, and my brother and I got into it, and he punched me in the face, and I freaked out. So I ran out of the house, and I ran back, and my mom's like, here, take this Xanax. This will calm you down. So I ran out, and I was laying in the middle of the street, and my friend John pulled up, and he was like, hey, Dad, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And we were like, let's go driving. So I was in the back seat, and then he started playing. I was like, here, play this album. It's called Hot Fuss by The Killers. And then by the time Mr. Brightside came on, or no, Smile Like You Mean It, I was full out drumming, air drumming, and then I blacked out.
Probably because you were high as fuck, my guy. You didn't deserve to get punched in the face. Just like our audience doesn't deserve this break.
any sound, record it, and then change its nature by a multiplicity of operations. You record it at different speeds, you play it backwards, you add it to itself over and over again. You adjust filters, echoes, acoustic qualities, you combine segments of magnetic tape. By these means and many others, you can create sounds which no one has ever heard before.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room first, right? And that is the absolute carpet bomb of decisions the Supreme Court has been dropping this month, or last month, depending on when you decide to take the context of the show.
Yeah.
Right? So, starting with their ruling on a gerrymandering case out of North Carolina, I believe, and they ruled that the map was unconstitutional, right? Because it was not representative of the voting demographic, right? Which totally led everybody into this false sense of security that, oh, okay, maybe this conservative Supreme Court, even after all of the Clarence Thomas craziness, has some kind of moral compass, right? Maybe they're here for everybody.
As we look at the gerrymandered state, it looks like all of the blue is isolated to Raleigh and the college towns.
So here's the thing, though, that...
Raleigh, Charlotte, and the college towns.
So, but here's the thing, though, right? When it comes to a lot of these gerrymandered maps, they are built to suit voting districts. They don't fit demographic.
Yes.
Right? So, in a lot of places that look like they're heavily Republican, they are not heavily populated, right? Like we have that problem in Maryland, right? There are a lot of people that claim that Maryland is actually a Republican state because most of the counties are Republican, but those counties are not heavily populated.
Yes.
And that is the issue throughout a lot of the United States. There are these gerrymandered maps that make the state look majorly Republican.
Anne Arundel
when
County
in fact,
is currently a blue state. You're welcome. A
blue county. I had a lot to contribute. The blue
No, I did
counties.
not. Please impeach me. I'm just gonna resign.
The blue counties in Maryland often double the population of some of the Republican counties in Maryland.
Yeah.
Right? Which makes the argument that Maryland is a Republican state kind of mute when you're like, oh, okay, Anne Arundel County has like twice the population of Kent County, right? Baltimore County has twice the population of like Carroll County.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's crazy, right? PG County. It's anyway, right? So when you look at the North Carolina map or even the Wisconsin map or the Ohio maps, some of these maps have been heavily altered in favor of the incumbent politicians.
Well, I mean, historically and statistically, major urban populations tend to lean left politically.
Right, which would make it beneficial for the right to gerrymander the maps in order to remain in power.
And if you look at the North Carolina map right here, it is, oh look, college towns in one spot and Charlotte and Raleigh in another.
The major population centers.
Yep.
Right? So, with that being said, though, the Supreme Court then turned around. They lulled us into a false sense of security because right after that, they followed with another decision entitling the web designer to, from the web designer from Colorado to refuse a same-sex couple of working on their wedding page, right? So citing that it violated her First Amendment rights. Lori, the web designer being Lori Smith, who was opposed to working on a same-sex couple's marriage webpage, alleging that the state's public accommodation laws, claiming that they required her to serve everyone equally, right? But in the long run, the state was ruled unconstitutional, enlisting her creating a message that she opposes.
Yeah, so when you told me about this whole thing, I had two big takeaways. First, why did you take the wedding? Just why to begin with? Like, that should have been like the first conversation. Oh, we have a wedding. Oh, great. Who's your bride? Oh, it's a groom. Okay. What day? Gives arbitrary date. Oh, we're booked that day. Sorry. We have too many projects that we're taking on right now. Sorry.
The decision came down in
just lie. Just lie.
The decision came down in a 6-3 vote, with Justice Neil Gorsuch drawing a distinction between discrimination based on a person's status, race, or gender, and other classifications, and a discrimination based on her message, right? Saying if there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it's that the government may not interfere with an uninhibited marketplace of ideas. When a state's law collides with the Constitution, he added, the Constitution must prevail, citing the approval of this ruling via the First Amendment, right? The decision was limited because of what might have been contested about the facts of the case, namely the Smiths' intent to work with the couples and to produce a customized story for their website using her words and original artwork. Given those facts, Gorsuch said that Smith qualifies for constitutional protection in this ruling, right? The couple was requesting to use her design for a website. So, with that being said, do you have to make art for somebody you don't agree with?
No.
If you are a Nazi, or excuse me, if a Nazi comes to you and wants you to paint a picture for them of some shit you don't agree with, should you have to do it just because you're a painter?
No.
So then you kind of agree with this ruling.
I mean, yeah, kind of. If you put it in the context of if a Nazi approached me and wanted to make a painting of Jesus flamethrowing a bunch of Jewish people, I'd say no.
So
I'd just be like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna do it.
So the more liberal justices on the court, of course, lamented against this decision, especially Sonia Sotomayor, saying that time and time again, businesses and other commercial entities have claimed constitutional right to discriminate, and time again, this court has courageously stood up against those claims until today. Today, this court shrinks, right? And it does.
It's 2023. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility where somebody is like, you know what? I want to do a Nazi-themed wedding.
I mean, people are doing Trump-themed weddings, and a lot of people would feel like it's in the same vein,
like,
right? So
I'm a DJ, and I've worked weddings before. If I'm a DJ and somebody's like, yeah, can you play like the soundtrack for Triumph of the Will?
Oh.
I'd probably be like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'd feel kind of weird if they asked me to play Ignition by R. Kelly. Like,
that's where we get into the kind of like nitty gritty of this specific Supreme Court decision.
Now,
right?
You said it earlier to me before we were recording. You were like, this decision kind of just fucks gay people and the movement for LGBTQ plus rights.
Absolutely, right? And I think that is the liberal justice's point here, is that this does not set a good precedent, right? Because it opens the gateway for business discrimination again. How far off are we from signs where it's no niggers, no spics, no dogs, no Jews?
This is the gray area, right? So, like, we'll stick with weddings, because that is a situation, and we'll work within that. You're not, like, a wedding photographer is probably not going to have, like,
right.
a storefront like that. You're probably going to have to email them. Right?
The idea of somebody writing an email that says no niggers, no spics, no dogs, no Jews.
No.
Yeah.
This is where it brings me back to what I said earlier. If, you're trying to get a wedding photographer
out of context,
and you email
that's gonna
them,
be crazy.
And you email them, you know what they could have done? Not fucking answered.
Yeah, like
just not fucking answered.
That's the other thing. That's where I get into that's where I feel like the gray area for this comes in to play, because it's
these people with the lawsuit are just like, oh, they just did this because we're gay.
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, right. So now I feel.
Which goes to, like, your thought of, like, this could be damaging to the gay community, because they might have just taken this lawsuit up because, oh, they just did this because we're gay.
Yo, okay, so, like, you remind me of, like, this Gilbert Arenas article that I was reading earlier, where he was talking about how he feels like the gay community is the most judgmental community in America, and how they are just looking to cancel anybody at any second, and it's not fair because they're operating by a playbook that nobody else can see or gets to operate by. And it just, all of this feels like it feels like a way to blame gay people for looking for acceptance, right? And it does feel like a very shitty way to use the First Amendment to be like, I want to discriminate and I should be allowed to discriminate because of the First Amendment, right? Like, there were parts in the Gilbert Arenas article where he was saying some things that made a certain amount of sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there is a lot of this that people who are willing to hear people out are trying to make adjustments for. But there seems to be a certain subsect of the LGBTQ community that are willing to pounce on their oppressors at notice.
So what I was going to say is, I'm going to echo a thing that Dave Chappelle said, in that Twitter is not a real place.
No, it's not.
But
it's not, and I wish that Fox News would understand.
While the LGBTQ plus community on Twitter may not be the most aggressive, but they are very defensive.
I feel like, okay, and this is me as a black man saying, I get it, right? Because lots of people say the same thing about black people in general when we claim racism, right?
Yes.
They're like, oh my God, why do you have to be so dramatic? Do you really think it's racism, right? And a lot of that aggression and that targeted kind of disconsent goes towards black women, right? And I
will say, I feel like, do you feel like this particular court case was brought because there are instances of people, I know, anecdotal evidence, but the problem is a lot of the times anecdotal evidence actually then ends up setting precedent where people do overreach on them being a marginalized community. And they're like, oh, this happened because I am X. When it's really not the scenario. Or it's something that they shouldn't press the issue on. Like, to me, the whole, gay wedding thing, I would have just been like, okay, I'll get another photographer. Like,
okay,
it can't be that hard to get another photographer or videographer who does something that you're happy with. There are a lot of talented artists out there.
So in this instance, it was a web designer. And
there are a lot of talented web designers out there.
Yes, but I may argue that it may have been difficult for them to find somebody in their price range. In this instance, however, I'm not going to assume any of that. In this instance, I'm just going to jump from the fact that they requested a web page from this designer and the web designer rejected on the basis that they were a homosexual couple.
Just don't answer the fucking email! It's literally that simple!
I honestly feel like, yes, in this instance, I put the pressure on the web designer, right?
Don't answer the fucking email!
Because if that's... No,
you're opening a can of worms.
No, but they don't care, and that's the problem, right? Because literally they feel emboldened right now to be like, no, I am rejecting your service request because you are gay, and I need you to know that I am rejecting your request for service because you are gay.
That's dumb! That is stupid!
No, it's not. According to their doctrine, the doctrine that they believe that they are willing to, the hill they are willing to die on is the mount of Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior. Float. Yes, it does to them, just like the ark, my nigga.
They will die on that hill then.
Well, today on the Hill, the
Listeners of the flood are on the ark.
Today on the Hill, the Supreme Court decided that their perspective is protected by the First Amendment. And with that being said, I do not necessarily believe that this is a road back to no niggers, no spics, no Jews.
I don't think so either. I feel like this is a situation when it comes to asking for private contractors, and private contractors should be smart enough to just not answer the fucking email.
And Chief Justice Roberts also further elaborated that this is really just protecting private contractors and people who, make original or unique pieces of work. But I do feel like this is a very slippery slope that may lead us back to some very uncomfortable things, which I'm sure some people are happy I didn't say it again for a third or fourth time. I can't remember how many times I said it, because guess what? We're not that far from it. We're really not that far from it. When this decision has been reversed, especially considering that the plaintiffs in this case are a protected class of people in this country. And I know that's a weird sentence all in itself, but it's because, in context, this country has required it. In its history, this country has consistently oppressed this certain class of people amongst other classes of people. So this Supreme Court decision kind of reverses history.
I have a question for you that was posed to me by listener of the show, Austin Reeves, I believe is his last name.
Shout out Austin for your
He
question.
actually sold me a Don Zalug.
Shout out Austin for your Don Zalug. No
yes.
pause.
So he posed. He posed.
No pause. I don't know.
He posed a great question. Austin posed a great question. So apparently, there's one word that AI can't say. Basically, they're white people. Now, if a black guy suspected his white friend of being a deepfake, if the white friend is real, does he get a pass when he is asked who is in Paris?
AI can't say nigga.
Apparently not.
Or with the hard R. Because I'm kind of done saying it with the hard R. It's only, like, it's not really fun.
I'm not going to say me, because I'm not going to be put in this position.
I mean...
Would you give Seth Rogen a pass?
If he was reading Tom Sawyer, like...
No. If you asked Seth Rogen, who is in Paris? Would you let him get away with it?
To prove he's not an AI?
Yeah.
Is it life or death?
Yes. Terminator situation. You have the gun to his head.
I mean, I guess if it's life or death and it's like the thing and I'm like, here, you have to like drink this gasoline, or like, no, what was it, the fire? Like, here, like put the match close to your face.
Like, you have the gun to his head.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You need to prove that he's not real, because you would feel real bad if you actually killed Seth Rogen.
Do you not remember the thing where they like had to test, like, because the thing, like the creature was afraid of fire, so they like had to fire test it? Yes, okay, so yes. If you're saying I have to fire test Seth Rogen with the N-word, then yes, he gets an N-word pass this one time. That's about the only time.
I wouldn't ask. I'd just be like, fuck it, shoot me. You'd be like, oh, he
really?
said, fuck it, shoot me? That's sick.
I was gonna say, you're dramatic. You'd rather sacrifice your life than say the N-word? Like...
dude, I was the guy at ethics class that said I wouldn't talk and take the 20 years.
What did you do during, like, English class when you were reading, like, Huckleberry Finn and shit? Like...
I did not raise my hand. And I was not the black guy in the class that was, quote-unquote, volunteered to read Jim's parts.
Because I was. All of the niggers. I got to read every single last one of them. No.
Miss Restfield actually made two of our classmates kiss for Romeo and Juliet.
Whoa. I feel
South
like...
River?
Yeah.
Who?
Miss Wrestler.
Shout out to Ashley.
I only know Miss Crankfield and Miss Larkin.
Yo, that's crazy. I feel like if that were to happen nowadays...
Yeah, no, we were all like, what? This isn't...
What? That's wild. Not as wild as what the fuck...
Because, like, there was a non-0% chance that one of the guys that was picked would be like, oh, or one of the girls, too, would be like, oh, that's my first kiss.
That's fucking crazy, man.
There was one time I actually, like, some girl was like, that was my first kiss, and I was like, oh, wow, this is an emotional attachment I did not sign up for.
Ooh,
Or
big
just
shit.
a cool experience.
Was it at the sock hop, my nigga?
No.
How old were you?
I think I was like 23.
What the
And she was like 21.
Wait, when you had your first kiss?
No, when she had her first kiss, she was like only 2 years younger than me, and I was like
Well,
23.
Still, she was well over teen years.
Right?
That's crazy.
Who the fuck was it? Stephanie Carroll? Like, what are you saying? Like, the fuck?
And she wasn't
didn't.
like, she was attractive.
Was
I'm
it a
just like,
tongue
this
kiss?
is weird.
He didn't get the joke, audience. He didn't.
Stephanie Carroll, I did not.
I don't know who that is.
Steve Carell, 40-year-old virgin.
Oh, well,
Thank
that's
you.
Exaggerated.
Thank you.
Exaggeration. We're
Hello.
Reaching.
No, it's not
But I was
reaching.
like,
20 whole years reaching.
Like,
A 20
like, I
at
found that
first
out,
kiss?
I was like, oh,
A first kiss? You think it's normal for somebody to get their first kiss at 21?
I feel like it's about 5 years out from the normal.
No, it's not. According to average statistics, most people have their first kiss by 14.
I was 16.
Oh, okay.
16 is when most people lose their virginity.
I was 18.
I was 11 when I had my first kiss.
I'm also Catholic.
I was 20 days from my 15th birthday.
I feel like
had
18 might be when most people lose their virginity.
Like, actually.
Yeah.
sex. Maybe of today's.
Like, they
the
see
last-
that survey and they don't answer.
Yeah.
I guess I just figured people that did it younger were not the majority.
I feel like y'all make me feel weird because I had my
One word
first kiss
answer.
when I was
losing
9.
your virginity a positive or negative
Well,
experience?
wait a minute. French kiss though?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I didn't get that.
One word answer. Losing your virginity, positive or negative experience?
Positive.
Mine was set a bad precedent.
See, mine was fine.
Did you say set a bad precedent?
Yeah, I've learned it's better since then.
That's I'm sorry for you, my nigga. And I busted quick my first time. Like almost embarrassingly quick. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you on this podcast. That might be like the most candid thing I've ever said on this
Honestly,
podcast.
like, it's not even that bad. That would be like if... So, my first concert was Tool. So it's like all downhill from there.
How the fuck?
My first concert was Tool. So it's like all downhill from there.
First of all,
But if
nothing
my
is
first concert was
quick
like-
about Tool.
No, nothing. But it was amazing, and it lasted a long time, which is the goal, right?
Now I can get it there, but like my first time was under 5 minutes.
Great. It's like you're at a punk show.
And after all that, just in case you thought the Supreme Court was done, they came through with one more decision for that funky ass. That's right. Just when you thought they was exiting out, they slid through and they cut off affirmative action on their way out. That's right. In a 6-3 vote, that's right, Trump's appointed conservative Supreme Court.
Didn't he get 3?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, talk about timely.
At this point, I'm, way too tossed to give a comprehensive, rundown on all of Trump's Supreme Court appointees, but I do know that this Supreme Court has officially gutted affirmative action as far as colleges are concerned, right? The ruling has stated that it is unconstitutional for a college to take race into consideration as a specific factor for admissions, meaning that affirmative action programs that saw minority students placed into some of these more prestigious colleges will no longer be an avenue for people to reach a higher education.
I will say from my personal experience being in school currently that as a straight white American male, I am in the minority when it comes to each class that I am in. The number of straight white American males in my classes is outnumbered by the number of non-straight white American males. However, no single demographic has any supermajority over any other, and that is how it should be.
Chief Justice Roberts, in the majority opinion, noted that applicants could still share in their essays how their heritage or culture had motivated them to take on a leadership role, for instance. In other words, the students must be treated based on his or her experiences as an individual and not on the basis of their race, in the opinion stated. In the perfect world, he's not wrong, right? Like, you would assume that should be the way that things are. But historically, in this country, that has not been the way things are. So much so that Chief Justice Sonia Sotomayor once again, reminded everybody that she was a benefit
Michelle
of
Obama
affirmative
made
action.
a big announcement that she was a beneficiary of affirmative action.
Lots of minority leaders in this country were benefits of affirmative action because it was needed in the face of my legacy programs that are now being challenged legally. Activists have responded to the Supreme Court.
My daddy went to Harvard.
Activists have responded to the Supreme Court ruling by suing Harvard and other institutions
Harvard. I was making a condescending comment.
over their legacy admissions, stating...
My daddy literally went to Harvard, alright. My dad didn't. He went to the United States Naval Academy class of 1972.
Civil rights groups are challenging the admissions at Harvard, stating that their practices discriminate against students of color by giving an unfair boost to a mostly white children of alumni. Right? These legacy admissions do favor mostly white children by the inherent nature of the legacy program, right? A lot of these schools were founded during a time period where children of color or minority children in general were not admitted to these institutions, right? So with the advancement of the Supreme Court ruling, it really does put into question how we are going to deal with the unbalance that is the diversity of higher education, right? As it becomes continuously more unattainable for the lower class.
And as the quote-unquote merit-based system becomes harder and harder to judge.
Right, which is why the legacy programs are being targeted in this lawsuit. What they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Right? And that becomes more and more relevant as we continue into the new systems that are developing in the nation as we move forward, right? Even in Joe Biden's America. Before we transition, though, I want to ask you, do you feel like these affirmative action programs were more harmful or beneficial? Because what I find very interesting is that in both of these lawsuits, they used the Asian community in a way to take down the affirmative action program, right?
So,
they suggested that the Asian community was being discriminated against in favor of Black, Latino, and Native American communities.
So I will say, specifically when it comes to my university, UMBC, there is a joke when it comes to admissions, and it is, you must be Chinese.
So you feel like the idea that the Asian community is somehow being discriminated amongst these, like, higher prestigious colleges?
I'm not saying that. I do have a lot of Asian Americans or actual Asians who came from Asia in my class. And,
yeah.
Like, it's actually been really cool because a lot of the times we have been talking about, like, the influence of globalization on Asia and the cross-cultural influence between America.
But you don't feel like affirmative action is harming them in any way, shape, or form?
No, and I actually, me personally, I enjoy not... Alright, so when you are in the supermajority of a demographic of a group, like say you're in a bar and it's an Eagles bar, and then there's a couple of assholes who are Giants fans.
Okay.
If you're watching the game, the Giants fans might be right about something, but fuck them, they're Giants fans, right?
Right.
A lot of the times.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So,
Go
a
off.
lot of the times, especially now with age comes wisdom, I have a perspective that when I listen to a lot of my classmates and things like that, and I'm like, I don't want to say that they're dumb, but I want to say that they don't come from the experience that I have. So if I'm speaking to an echo chamber of straight white American males and I have this elaborated point,
This is your third reminder to like and subscribe.
then it's going to be overwhelmingly taken. I like having pushback when it comes to ideas that I present.
And this is your fourth reminder to like and subscribe.
For me, that college experience that might have been altered, I will say a non-0% chance of it being altered due to the fact of affirmative action has benefited my educational experience as a member of the majority.
No, and I totally agree that a diverse marketplace of mindsets benefits everybody, right?
And this is actually, to double down on that point, considering my senior thesis is on how Japanese media represents Western Christian ideology. And this is something I can really only get a more wholesome and accurate view is by getting perspective from people who are Asian Americans or from Asian descent or are immigrants directly from Asia, which is something that I get at my school, considering that the Asian demographic is much higher than the average university, which is where the joke, "you must be Chinese," comes from.
Which is why I find it funny that they use the Asian demographic in both of these lawsuits to state that affirmative action is unconstitutional.
So basically, what you are saying is my university is the outlier.
Or the proof that what these lawsuits are bringing forth is a non sequitur, right? Like it's a moot point. The Asian community is not being underrepresented because of affirmative action, right? Which is the point that I feel like both of these lawsuits were trying to bring forth, right? That because of affirmative action, qualified Asian students were not being accepted because they did not meet the affirmative action standards, right?
And the Supreme Court took this a different way.
That's the way the Supreme Court took it, is that affirmative action was not allowing for equal opportunity access to higher learning in these higher institutions.
So instead of altering affirmative action, they decided to strike it down overall.
Exactly. Except for in the instance of military academies, which I find, and some of the other Supreme Court justices find, extremely interesting, right? Because the Supreme Court specifically made an exception for military academies.
Because we gotta feed that war machine.
So, with that being said,
Let's take a real quick break before we make the transition.
right?
Transition.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. So, I saw a poll on Facebook that I found very interesting. The greatest 1990s anime.
Okay. Okay.
So I saw the top 5, and then I came up with my version of the top 5.
Alright, so you want me to rate and see what I feel like is the true top 5?
So I'll give you a rundown. Let me cut. Let me be
ahead.
your guide.
Go.
Let me be your guide.
Alright,
So
alright.
this vote had at number 5 for the top 1990s anime, Hunter x Hunter
Okay.
for number 5.
At number 5.
The 90s version.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay.
Number 3, Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Number 2, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Okay.
And number 1, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Huh. Interesting.
Notable absentees from the top 5 were Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
Rurouni Kenshin,
Oh, absolutely.
Pokemon,
Absolutely.
and Sailor Moon.
Fair. I
So
feel like
that's
that's a
9.
fair argument.
That's 9.
Yeah, that's a fair
So
argument.
I will give you of those 9, which I agree are 9 of the top 10. My top 5, I will say, my number 5 is Cowboy Bebop. It is a masterpiece in episodic storytelling with a very westernized influence, which opened the Western audience to the acceptance of anime. Because if you watch Cowboy Bebop, it's really just the space version of a John Wayne movie.
I feel like it's a good gateway anime. I do feel like it's a good gateway anime. Like, if you were trying to, like, even if you were trying to get a boomer into anime, I feel like Cowboy Bebop is an anime that you could show a boomer and potentially, like, get them into the genre.
My friend Mike would say that the anime currently right now for that is Spy Family, and I don't entirely disagree with that.
I don't know. I feel like Spy Family might be a little out there for a boomer.
Anya is fantastic.
I
Let's
mean,
continue.
yes,
Let's
right.
continue.
I still feel like you'd be better off showing a boomer Lupin the Third versus Spy Family.
So, my number 5 was Cowboy Bebop. My number 4 I have as Dragon Ball Z. Mainly because it set the whole Super Saiyan archetype of increasing power level, which has been copied and cloned and
I would say
Countless
it
times.
is the overall like show.
and it has the cultural impact in the anime
Would you call it
community.
is Dragon Ball Z a shonen? I feel
is a
like
shonen.
yeah,
We're
I
getting
feel
to that.
like
We're
it
getting to
is
that.
the
We're getting
it
to
is
that.
the shonen.
We're getting to that. It
Okay.
might be the shonen. but
I
it is
feel like
not
it is
best
the shonen.
Number 3, I have Pokemon
Okay.
because of overall cultural impact.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I feel
Boomers
like
recognize Pikachu.
yeah, I feel like Pokemon is the gateway anime, right? And because
It's
it
the
comes
gateway to Japanese culture.
I feel like Pokemon is the gateway anime because it comes in the form of a children's show, right? Like, you get exposed to it whether you're watching your grandchildren or whether you are the grandchild.
There is a substantial amount of people in our generation who know the entire Poke rap.
I mean, but I
Like
feel
the
like
same way that I know the words "the stand."
I feel like that is because
I wrote
your
don't be calling me.
perspective
I left it on my page,
of
my whole phone at the bottom. I sent you 2 letters back in autumn. You was that got them. There probably was a
I
problem.
feel like that is
Sometimes-
because your
sometimes
perspective of of the generation is from your point forward, right? Like I like from your age and up. How many people do you think know the Poke rap?
I would say up to how old are you? You're 33.
3. So 34. I would
I
put
would
it at
probably say 34 and 35 is the cap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which isn't a lot of people, by the way.
But I would say underneath of me, I would say probably
our friends over at
27 would be the low end.
our friends over at Fuck It I'm 40 probably don't know the poke rap.
I do not believe our friends over at Fuck It Up 40.
Shout out to Fuck It I'm 40, our sister podcast.
Yeah.
If you like this podcast, go ahead and check them out after you get done this.
Shout out to Kelly and Tracy over at Fuck It I'm 40.
And I guarantee you, they don't know the poke rap. Kelly and Tracy, if you know the poke rap and you happen to hear this, go ahead and shout us out and let us know, right? But
At number 2 for my personal ranking, I have Yu Yu Hakusho.
okay.
Yu Yu Hakusho set the perfect formula to make, at bare bones, a decent show. Yu Yu Hakusho made...
I feel like it's the archetype, right? Like
Yes.
it's totally
if
the
you
archetype.
have no
show.
idea how to make at least a decent show, follow the Yu Yu Hakusho plotline type of thing. Like, training, tournament arc, clone villain, ultimate ending, and you're set. And while it may be the archetypal shonen, he did it so well to the point where it is the archetypal shonen. It had to be done well enough to make it the archetypal shonen for which people are then to follow.
So I feel like your list is very Toonami.
I haven't even
no
gotten to the last
offense.
one, which is also on Toonami.
Go ahead. Go off, King.
And the last one I have is take a guess.
Hunter x Hunter.
No. I don't have Hunter x Hunter on this list because the 90s version's not that good.
Ooh, okay. Alright. Sailor Moon?
No.
No. Neon Genesis?
Evangelion.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
It's actually just a thematic masterpiece.
No, it is. It's really good. But you know what else is really good? The original run of Berserk. You know what else is really good? Gundam Wing. Like, all of them.
Ooh, that is one I forgot. Gundam Wing. Okay, so Gundam Wing and Berserk. So I have given you
So is the original run of Baki. So is
okay, but now you're making your top 5. Are you throwing?
I'm
Baki in your
not
top
making
5?
I'm not making my top 5, but I'm also saying like
All right, make your top 5.
I don't know when Vampire Hunter D came out, right? Like I don't know when like
Don't overthink it. Think about the main ones. I
it's
gave you a lot of the main ones.
It's not just the main ones though. Like there's a lot of like really
Stop being contrarian. Stop being contrarian.
like
You
what
and your
about,
anecdotal evidence.
what about Golden Boy?
Shut up!
right?
Give me your top 5. Your realistic top 5. I'll give you Berserk.
I don't have a realistic top 5 though, because like when it comes to 90s anime, I'd have to sit down and really think about that shit. Like, but if you're talking about like my Toonami, like
I will say the final vote,
5.
Yu-Gi-Oh was 9.9 thousand.
I can tell you that
versus
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Evangelion 7.1 thousand.
I can tell you that Yu-Gi-Oh does not make it into my top 5.
Yu-Gi-Oh did not make it into my top 5.
No, it does not. No.
I also think of that as a 2000s.
I was gonna say
largely.
nothing that made it on the WB Saturday
No.
morning playlist makes
It's
it on
not
my
GOAT
top 5.
anime. No, it's not.
No. I'm not gonna say it's not GOAT anime, but it doesn't make it onto my top 5.
Also, to say something is very Toonami was very selective with how they curated their anime. They really
I'll
did
give you that.
pick
I'll give you that.
fantastic anime. So to say that somebody's taste is Adult
but-
Swim, it may say that it's basic, but it doesn't say that it's bad.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, I even saw like
The
deep
type of
episodes.
people who would be like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Card Captors are the best anime.
I feel like
Those are the people that we
yeah.
wrote.
I mean, I even saw deep episodes of Ben 10, right? So like,
Oh, yeah, no, Ben 10's great.
Cartoon Network.
I wouldn't call Ben 10 an anime.
No, but I'm saying Cartoon Network definitely was selective and about their like choice.
Teen Titans.
Right.
Like, Teen Titans is a...
It used to be. Now all they do is
Teen Titans Go. Let's not talk about that. The original Teen Titans.
Teen Titans
is a
Go
show
is good,
that
but
kids and adults can both enjoy because of the thematic structure.
yeah.
And these are things that Cartoon Network has done with things like Ben 10. While I won't say that Ben 10 and Teen Titans are anime, I would say that they are cousins of things like Avatar and Castlevania, which I will say they are more like half-siblings to true anime.
I kind of agree with that.
Because there's also a lot of anime storytelling elements that are echoed through Teen Titans and Ben 10.
I also feel like there's a lot of like anime from the 90s that goes that at this point has gone like, you know, missed and underrated, and it's hard to come up with. Yeah,
is
that's
underrated.
another one.
Also, I mean, the author is a creepoid, but
You left out Digimon, right?
I don't put them up there.
You're tripping because Digimon.
I love Digimon, but I am not putting them in the top 5.
No, Digimon.
I put Yu-Gi-Oh! In there before Digimon.
I was gonna say.
Let's talk about. That's my bias speaking, but still.
I was gonna say, all right, I will give you. It doesn't go in the top 5, but if you put Pokemon up there, you have to put Digimon up there. You also
you
have
put
to.
Digimon in the conversation. Pokemon is clearly more significant culturally than Digimon.
You also have to put Initial D up there. Like I said, Berserker. We all know Hunter x Hunter goes up there. Oh,
I mean, technically, you can put One Piece in here, but I wouldn't put One Piece as a 90s anime, considering it's still running and it's 2023. That would be like Kevin Durant is the best player of the 2000s because he joined the league in 2007.
I mean, but also Akira and Princess Mononoke came out in the 90s, right?
Akira is the 80s.
Is Akira the 80s?
Akira is 100% the 80s.
Is it, or is it 1989?
No, it is. It might be early 80s. No, I think it might be like 88, 87, 88.
1991, buddy.
Damn
it! 1991. So, as I was saying, Akira and Princess Mononoke both came out in the 90s.
Movies.
They are movies, but they're also anime.
Yeah, but these are all series. Like
Slam Dunk.
Like, it's not fair. Akira is in consideration for one of the greatest films of all time.
And Cowboy Bebop, which, as we both agreed, is probably...
I put it top 5. I put it number 5.
Number 5. But your number 1 was what again?
My number 1 was Evangelion. I had number 1, Evangelion. Number 2, Yu Yu Hakusho. Number 3, Pokemon. Number 4, Dragon Ball Z. Number 5, Cowboy Bebop.
I don't feel like your list is bad, though. I really don't feel like your list is bad. But I do feel like there are some lesser-known animes that came out around that time. And
it made me question when you mentioned things like Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
Gundam Wing is probably like a 6 through 10 for me. And I love Gundam Wing. Don't get me wrong. I think we have a Gundam Wing picture right up here somewhere.
Yeah. But, with all that being said, you know, we are looking at some great anime right now. There's lots of new episodes of Demon Slayer coming out. And
this season is trash.
Oh, you don't like this season?
Trash.
You don't like the season?
This season is trash. It's pretty, but it's trash.
Damn. I guess, you know, as far as that's concerned, none of this is normal.
But what should be normal is buying all of your Magic the Gathering,
There you go. Pokemon,
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Flush and Blood. That's
Board
the one I
games,
forgot. And card games.
supplies
Is
at
that
tokenmtg.com and use
Yeah.
promo code
Yeah.
FIGGIES to get 10% off of your
Yeah,
order.
baby.
Don't forget
Get-
to follow us at the Flood Pod on
On
everything,
everything, and
that
that's
is
on
everything. And keep your
everything.
death threats to a reasonable number of characters, because Lord knows what's happening to Twitter.
At this point, you might not even get to us at your 600 post limit. So, but you know where to find us, and that's at the Flood Pod on everything. And this is your fourth and final reminder.
I think it's the
Sixth to like and subscribe, and you can catch us next week. This is.
Look, it's a flood! It's a flood! It's flooding! Get away! Quick, we need to get to higher ground! Open the floodgates!
Wait, why can't we talk about
It
black
is
stuff?
time to